guys, welcome to Double Shot of Steelers. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This program is presented to you by our good friends at FanDuel. The Steelers have to move a lot of different people around, one would think, and not just the one that you would like to move around, that being the head coach. They've got to have players put into places where they make sense. They've got to have players put into places where they know what they're doing. And by that, I don't even mean that they stink. I mean that they could be brand new. They could be Adam Thielen. They could be Asante Samuel. They could be Dante Kent, who came up today, and we'll be touching on that as well. There's a lot of potential for a lot of change in a game, a matchup where you might not necessarily want that. You're going into a road stadium. You're not going to be able to communicate as easily. And, all this other stuff, the part where they're not all that smooth whenever they do have everybody and nothing but familiar people. If there's one that jumps out, though, it's one that I don't really know that many people are talking about, and that's Patrick Queen. Queen has a bruised buttocks. I've seen glute. I've seen hip used to describe this. His bum hurts. His bum is bruised, and it is badly bruised. It was bruised to the point where he was forced to come out of the game, even though, meaning Sunday, it wasn't a break or a tear or anything like that. That's a bad bum bruise. Thank you. Be here all week. Chris Alex joining us now to make the time to save me from myself. But if you don't have Queen, Jordan Jarvie's asking if Cole Holcomb gets the green dot. No, that would go to Peyton Wilson. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Peyton Wilson would be that guy. But you would have a whole lot more of Cole Holcomb. You'd probably have a whole lot more of Malik Harrison as well. There's Chris up there. Hi, Chris.
Hey, what's going on? How are you doing?
What is that? Indoor facility, outdoor facility? What you got there?
Indoor facility for the time being. I don't know if I'm going to get kicked out of here or not. So
or they'll turn the lights out. They do that a lot.
The lights will turn off, or Central Catholic will come in here and start practicing as they prepare for a state championship run. So,
the Central Catholic Vikings are heading to, where do they play these things now? Is it Hershey?
I think so.
Yeah. See, we don't know that. James Galloway asks you to like and subscribe to this program, which strikes me as a pretty good idea. When we come back, we're going to be touching base with Chris on all kinds of stuff from today. He just came sprinting. Look at him breathing there out of the locker room after practice. We're going to get into all that stuff right after this.
At DK Pittsburgh Sports, we take pride in coverage that connects our city's fans to their favorite teams. Now, that connection's stronger than ever. Introducing our all-new state-of-the-art app. Find expert inside reporting and original podcasts. Check live box scores. Track the latest stats. Chat it up with our community of thousands of fans, all in one place. The new app from DK Pittsburgh Sports. Coverage that connects.
Chris, one of the best things about having the scope of the audience that we have is you can get corrected on medical stuff. Richard Roberto says, FYI, a bruise is a tear. I have no idea how that could be the case, but I will never make that mistake again.
Yeah. I actually,
Here comes Chris's expert testimony to this subject.
Well, so no, I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to pretend to know anything about. But what I do know is actually exactly what's wrong with PQ. Unfortunately, I'm not at liberty to share what it is.
Oh, thanks. That's great. Great reporting.
Yeah, she loves that one. That was great. Way to deliver.
You have to be told under certain circumstances in order to report it. I was not told that, but the one thing that I can say based off of what I know is that it's really, really, really painful. Really, really, really painful.
And
Blink
PQ,
one.
and
if it's something, blink one.
Yeah, PQ has been through some stuff. this season. We are getting her a microphone, by the way. That's going to be one of the that's one of our New Year's resolution for 2026.
We do need to get her a mic. We need to get her a mic.
That's 2 against 1 now. She loses.
Get the producer mic. There we go.
Producer mic is a must in the modern environment of video excelling. The way that we do. Shane, no, you can't talk until you get a microphone. Shane Morris says, hopefully our number 2 wide receiver gets more targets than the last number 2 we brought in, Mike Williams. I don't know that Williams was used as a true number 2. I know that's not what you mean, Shane. But Williams was brought in basically as a guy to try to replace the number 1, as opposed to being a number 2 in the formation. They brought in Williams. They saw something they didn't like, and then that was that. I mean, it sure wasn't his performance in Landover where he won the game at the end, and then they were like, this guy stinks. I wonder, though, Chris, let's talk about some of the changes to come. And before we do that, we're going to talk about the way people are looking at this game for betting purposes. Because let's face it, there's a significant percentage of the audience that's doing that. It's time to check out the latest odds, futures, and win totals on the FanDuel Sportsbook. Ravens are favored by 6.5, unless I've missed an update on that. If you think the Steelers are going to take care of business in Baltimore, bounce back, and win back all your love, lock in your bets today. Whatever your game, the FanDuel Sportsbook delivers the latest lines, futures, and specials so that you can join in on all the action. Go check them out.
It has actually gone in the Steelers' favor. It has now moved to 5.5.
A whole point?
A whole point.
Well, that's Adam Thielen, of course.
That's Adam Thielen. That's the Adam Thielen.
That's the
effect.
promise of Pat Freiermuth being back in the lineup. I'm sorry, he was in the lineup. We just didn't see him on the field.
Yeah.
Let's talk about changes here, Chris. Let's talk about to the best of what you're allowed, given the NFL restrictions here on practice reporting. What's most likely to occur here from positional standpoint? And by the way, let's start with Pat.
Well, the one thing, I don't know if we had the video queued up or not, but I had a chance to talk with Pat this morning.
We do not.
Okay. I did have a chance to talk. No, it's fine. I did have a chance to talk with Pat this morning about, I just straight up asked him, like, listen, what's it, is it frustrating? I understand and I even said, like, I understand you're a team first guy, and he always is. He's always putting the team first. Aaron Rodgers has spoken about that openly. I say, hey, I know you're a team first guy and everything, but is it frustrating, like, to have a game in which you only have 17 snaps and you don't get any targets? And he was. I mean, he did a really good job of riding that line between, like, saying, yes, I'm frustrated, but then I'm still gonna be that team first guy. It was. I actually can read the quote so that nothing's being taken out of context here.
No, we're putting the video in.
Okay, cool.
It's going to take a while there to think.
Yeah, she'll put it in here. Pat's funny. Pat's not by nature a guy that's going to, do a whole lot of whining and complaining and stuff like that. There's stuff that from talking to him that makes him unhappy. And you can know for sure that he was unhappy on Sunday. He's a football player. He wants to play football. I'm not describing anything different with Pat than I would be for any other player. When you talk about the tight end usage, the part that confuses me, Chris, more than anything else, is that the plays that are being run, for the most part, are Pat plays. And beyond that, this is crazy baffling. When you've asked him to do those plays, been good. Hasn't been perfect. Nobody's perfect. But he's been good. He's been Pat. He's not one of those players who has regressed. He has forcibly regressed, meaning he's been shoved out. But it's not like, not to speak for Chris here, but it's not like we're talking about this because we think this is why the game was lost. It's not. We're talking about this because it's just, it doesn't make any sense. It's one of those where you go, why did they even do this? You know, force Jonnu Smith out there. Here's Pat's response today.
No, I mean, everyone shows up and everyone, contributes in a positive manner. I think he was just more so talking about being on the same page with signals and stuff. We don't have an issue with guys not showing up. We just kind of be on the same page with him and what he sees and being able to be on the same page.
Pat, I know you're a team-first guy, but is it hard to have games in which you only have 17 snaps and you don't get any targets at all?
I mean, yeah. I mean, obviously it's frustrating, but at the end of the day, I have complete faith in Arthur, and we have a good relationship and understanding what his thoughts were for the game plan. And, I don't lose too much sleep over it. Just got to be able to understand my role, and hopefully it changes going forward. And, we just got to be able to go out there and just do what's asked of me.
Yeah.
Understand my role and hope it changes going forward.
Hope it changes going forward. Good
like
for
I
him.
said, he rode that line between I'm frustrated, I hope it changes going forward, but I have faith in Art. Like he knows how to ride that line between saying what he really wants to say and
He
still being a
practiced
team
that.
first.
He stood in the mirror and practiced. What if that jerk Chris comes in and asks me about the number of snaps and the number of targets that I have? That's what he did. He stood in the mirror and said, okay, hope it changes going forward. That's it. Hope it changes going forward. It's a safe line. He can duck out of it any which way he wants. But also, he's right. I have faith in Arthur going forward. I have faith in Arthur. What's he going to do? Say Arthur stinks? Tomlin stinks? The quarterback stinks? What are you going to do? Listen, if you can get, and this really feels like a repeat of some of the stuff that we were talking about in advance of Ireland in particular. Identify what your shortcomings are and pound the living hell out of the solution. Meaning, remember back then, they couldn't run, couldn't move, couldn't block. What did they do? Spencer Anderson here, Darnell Washington there. 7-man line. What do you know? They could block. Sometimes you have to look at just whatever the problem is or one of the main problems and just say, we have to fix this. We're not getting separation. Rogers' own term Sunday. We're not having guys come back to the football. We're not hitting the middle of the field. Who can address, not solve, but who can address all three of those things? Pat Freiermuth.
Well, it's Pat Freiermuth, and see that's the thing where personnel change can also meet, schematic change or player deployment or whatever it is. You can make these changes, such as bringing in Adam Thielen. Okay, that brings, at the very, very least, we can always question what Adam Thielen is still capable of physically at 35 years old. Absolutely a question that's worthy of being asked. And Adam Thielen he did practice today, but he didn't speak today. He's going to speak tomorrow. So we'll hear from him for the first time tomorrow. But you bring him in, at the very, very least, he's going to bring experience. He's going to bring the ability to understand details of routes and know how to run routes. He may not run them as quickly and as crisply as he did, when he was in his prime, when he was going to the Pro Bowl and being named second-team All-Pro in 2017. But he can do that. Then you bring in Pat Freiermuth, who, I'm sorry, when you're talking about needing guys to be open, like that's the big issue. If that's your biggest issue right now, I think that is the biggest issue, because right now teams are doing everything possible to, we're not going to let you run. You can bring out Spencer Anderson. You can bring out Darnell Washington. You can go overseas to wherever you need to go, get both of them cloned, bring those clones back over, put those guys, play 9 offensive linemen. Doesn't matter. You're not going to run the ball. So what's the solution at that point? Make other guys, make defenses pay for paying no attention to those other guys. So put better guys there. Put guys there who can get open. Pat Freiermuth can be one. Adam Thielen can be another one. And maybe with enough of those guys hurting defenses. Maybe then Roman Wilson and Calvin Austin can also sprinkle in the things that they do well. But man, guys have got to get open. And I feel like Thielen and Freiermuth are probably their two best options in terms of being able to provide that.
Parachute Pants comes in with a $5 gift. That's appreciated. Says, love the show, gents. Why does national media, I'm going to do it every time, think Mike Tomlin is unfireable and basically call the Steelers fans idiots for wanting change? If you take out the term national media and you put in there what I always say, which is people who don't cover the team, you guys speak of them with this reverence. Ooh, national, they've made it. That's not how our business works. That's how TV works. That's how radio works. It's not how this business works. It's not a status that's achieved. Why do they think that Tomlin is unfireable, and do they call the Steelers fans idiots? The answer is the same. They don't cover the team. They aren't in Pittsburgh. Lucky for you. We and others are. We're not the only ones. Simple as that. Brent Haynes says, we're going to find out a lot this week. Two teams coming off horrid performances and both of them desperate to win. Should be a great game. We will see how much we want it. Tomlin brought this up twice in his press conference yesterday. And I found it not only interesting, but I found it, with the way he worded it, compelling. He said, listen, we've won 6 games. We've lost 6 games. They've done the same. Neither team, neither the Steelers nor the Ravens are happy with where they are, nor should they be. And I don't mean on my desk. I mean, how did that get messed up? Like there. I mean, where they are as a team, each one, each side. Now, the Ravens have an easier out on this because they didn't have Lamar for a while. They didn't have like a bunch of guys, okay, like a ton of them. But Lamar was back last week against the Bengals. I don't know how many people thought that the Bengals were going to win that game, but they did. They continued to expose a lot of the same things that have been wrong with the Ravens all season. And by the way, Lamar wasn't great either. So there is something to what you're saying, Brett. I don't know that that'll translate to a great game. To me, a great game happens between two great teams.
Yeah, it could be just which one loses less.
That's
like this really could turn into that, or it really just could turn into another 299 in which the Ravens just decide we're just going to pound the living snot out of you guys because you guys can't stop the run. And yeah, it could be that too.
This one gets me too. Jacob says, sorry, DK, but this coach is just out of touch with reality. He's setting aside the rest of Jacob's entry. Are you apologizing for that? Like, you act like I work for the team. Sorry, DK. But do you not hear me calling for his firing like since January? Do you hear us avoiding in general criticism when it's applicable, when it's fair? So why apologize to us for that? We have nothing to do with the team. We go over there as an independent media that has long since arrived at credentialing and all that other stuff. We're not the Steelers. Don't apologize for that. It's really strange. Frank says, hey, DK and Chris, why can't they play Renegade at the beginning of the game? Lots of Renegade talk this week, and for some of it for the wrong reasons. I don't like what they did. I don't like the timing of it. But for that to bring up this whole philosophical discussion as to whether or not it's a fun thing for people in the stadium. My guess is if you are anti-Renegade, you're not in a stadium. No offense.
Yeah, and
I'm not
Renegade,
talking about Sunday.
No, Renegade is always played at in between possessions when the Steelers are about to go on defense, and it's always in the fourth quarter. And usually they will try to time it at a time in which the defense needs to make a stop, whether the offense just scored a touchdown to take the lead or the offense is preserving a lead and then they couldn't get any points. The defense is going back on the field and it's getting later in the game. Defense needs to make a stop, whatever it is. That's usually the time. And it's always in the fourth quarter. There's never an exception to that. So it just so happened that I think if that sequence that happened was happening in the third quarter, they don't just play Renegade to shut people up. It just so happened that all of that was happening in the fourth quarter, and then they took it as an opportunity to play Renegade, and yeah, that's what ended up happening.
Yeah, they did, but Jay Mood says that they killed it. It's done. I don't believe that. Here, Jay Moods, let's do this. They beat the Ravens in Baltimore. Everybody at least takes a deep breath. At least for the season. If you're one of those, they need to lose out to fire Tomlin or whatever, different category. But from the perspective of saving this season, beat Baltimore down there. Whoa, way to go. Jump up and down. All this happy video will come out from that cramped little locker room and everything. And then the following week, Monday night, against the Dolphins. Everybody's having their parties around here, the people who can't get into the stadium, and they've got all the, I was going to say popcorn and stuff. It's just beer. You know who you are. And they're watching the Dolphins. And the crowd is in there. You're not going to get much of a Dolphins contingent coming up here. So it's going to be a really, really Pittsburgh heavy crowd.
And they're going to be honoring the Hall of Honor class that game.
The current one, the Ben, yes. Marquise, and Joey.
Yes.
That's a class. Okay. Mm-hmm. All of that. So you're going to see them coming out, waving the towel and getting the crowd revved up and whatever. If you think they're just going to randomly boo Renegade or that they've killed it, if the Steelers are winning and need a defensive stop, I would say that's nuts. I mean, that's just not going to happen. Yeah. Paulie wants to know if Styx gets any money from when Renegade is played. I mean, at the stadium, I don't think so. I could be wrong. You're supposed to get it for like every play, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that just goes under like typical royalties for any kind of when an artist's song is played. Like, I'm not sure how that's calculated or anything, but you have to have a license or like a certain licensing to play licensed music, copyrighted music in a stadium. I'm sure obviously the stadium has that. So I'm not sure how all that works. I haven't been in the music industry since 2009. It's been a minute. So yeah, when it comes to royalties and stuff like that, I'm sure that they get their money. I don't know how it would be paid to them, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't know either here. Eddie Carter asks, hey, DK, if the Steelers would lose this week, how bad would it be for the fans? I don't know that it's going to be worse than Buffalo. That was at home. That was just a complete destruction. Every which way that you could hurt somebody associated with a franchise like the Steelers, the Bills pretty much pulled it off. And with the Ravens, remember, we're not that far removed from the last time they had a really terrible loss in Baltimore. So I don't think it's going to feel as bad as this if it were to occur. But then I don't know. There's all kinds of different ways it can happen. FVO says, hey, DK, we don't use the middle of the field because the Pigeons claimed eminent domain a few years ago. Pigeons tried that in Market Square. They did, and it didn't work. We got the Pigeons out of Market Square for the most part. You don't see them anymore. So Pigeons can be bumped. All right? Let's not be cowardly, people. Let's not live in our fears.
You know,
all you got to do with pigeons is send an 8-year-old out there and say, go get the pigeons. And they go, ah!
So I'm trying to think. Have we seen the Pigeons on a regular basis since Darnell Washington was drafted?
Oh, good call.
Maybe all it took was a 6'7", 311-pound mammoth running at a 4.7 speed at the Pigeons, and they were like, "Screw this, we're gonna go find somewhere else to, do our business."
The Pigeons have met their match. Desiree says, for the first time ever, I shut off the Steelers game. Heard a lot of this, Chris. After the 4th and 2 play call. I understand everybody's frustration. I do think changes are in order. Hold on for another crazy last 5 games. Chris, let's go to the other side of the ball here. What changes, if any, can we expect on defense? What's been the clues, the pickup over there?
Man, well, first off, it's hard to know any real changes that are being made. I'll say no, but be able to talk about any changes that are being made. But one of the first changes that they made was obviously they waived Slay. It's not even a situation. It's not anything that's going to hang over their heads anymore. There's no, okay, we got to make him happy by no. not worrying about that anymore. Now it's Asante Samuel. He's in there. If James Pierre is able to clear concussion protocol, he'll be in there. But they've got
Kent.
Yeah, Dante Kent was his window was open today. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up getting in on return duty somehow. Not necessarily saying in this game, but maybe sometime soon. I mean,
You're talking about Kent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I'm thinking again, Mike Tomlin likes to think about all three phases of the game. So maybe he's just like, hey, we need a spark in the return game, in kick return or punt return, whatever it is. Or I don't want to use Calvin Austin in punt returns anymore because every time he gets hit, I feel like he's going to die. Whatever it is. I don't know. But it is interesting to see what that there are player changes being made. And so, I'm curious. I'm just as curious as everybody else to see how this defense tries to defend Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, knowing what happened the last time they tried to defend Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry.
They say a lot in sports, it's not who you play, it's when you play them. And when I think of what the Ravens were in January, I'm not thinking of what I've seen from the Ravens of late. And that includes, by the way, not just Lamar, but Derrick Henry. Henry's not having a Henry type of season. I
agree with that.
How old's he now? 30? 31?
I think he's on the wrong side of 30 for a running back.
That's Steelers old.
He's 31, almost 32.
I mean, there's a cliff staring him in the face.
I understand, but I really feel that the reason why the Steelers got beaten so badly in that game wasn't just because Lamar and Derrick Henry were Lamar and Derrick Henry, but because, number one, the schematics were absolute dog crap. And then there's a word I wanted to say there that I didn't, but yeah, they were terrible. And then on top of that, the defensive lineman kept getting pushed around like crazy. So I feel like you and I might have been able to rack up 299 yards when that's happening. It was bad for a lot of reasons, and not taking anything away from Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, but I really feel like that was more just the Steelers getting the pants beaten off of them.
Dwight Jefferson keeps it real, says, what I don't want to see is the defense lining up nickel when the Ravens go huge with 6 OL and Ricard. Yeah, they'll be in nickel. They'll be in dime just to show off for you, Dwight. We'll do whatever we want. We're the Steelers. Jedi cites Henry's stats and says he still has 931 yards through 12 games. He could obliterate our front seven. Oh, listen, I'm not in the business of doubting Henry. Okay.
Yeah.
My sole point, if you heard my wording, was I don't think either he or Lamar are what they were last year. That does not mean either of them is bad or that either of them is incapable of doing. Listen, which team realistically, from an offensive standpoint, other than Cleveland, when they were playing their 9th string quarterback, hasn't had its way to some extent with the Steelers defense? I thought they did a terrific job on the Colts, same 2 games we keep bringing up, and the Vikings. And they were playing, well, the Colts weren't playing their backup quarterback. They had Daniel Jones in. All they did was they reverted Daniel Jones to the New Jersey version of Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
But defensive line depth, James Galloway says, is a huge concern, and that's doubly true now that we know that Derek Harmon is going to be out. Massive factor this week.
It is. It really, really is. Listen, Derek Harmon was drafted. Now, not saying that they targeted just Derek Harmon, but Derek Harmon was drafted under the principle that the 299 game happened. And I show up in Mobile a couple of weeks later, and everybody who I'm talking to is saying we gotta draft defensive tackle.
Heck, Coach brought it up again Tuesday.
Yeah,
this is why we did this.
Exactly. So, Derek Harmon was drafted because of that game, and now he's not even going to be in it because of injury. So, yeah, it's a huge loss. There's no doubt about that. I mean, they have to figure out a way to deal with it without him, but. It's a huge loss.
Thoughts on YA Black in the second half? Ended up with a ton of tackles, but that can go both ways.
I saw some tackles, but I definitely saw a few.
Yeah, so did I. That's why I put it that way.
Yeah, there were a few snaps where he got pushed around.
To go through it. He has to go through it. These aren't criticisms. You got to understand that, people. You don't look at a YA Black in his first significant sustained performance in the NFL and go, you stink. You're done. That's not fair. There's so much learning that has to take place. James says he has to be consistent. Yes, but he has to play more than a half of football. He's been, if you look at his snap counts, Chris, they've been about a dozen per game before that.
Yeah, I honestly don't even like this comment. His gas tank was empty. That almost feels like an excuse. Like, yes, he might have been tired, but some of the issues that pop up usually when it comes to younger defensive tackles, especially younger defensive tackles that are not as polished and they are very, very large human beings, like YA Black is. Usually, it means that there's something technically wrong. Like with something that he's doing, usually that means pad level, and that's just straight up leverage. Why do you think Daniel McCullers never worked out? Because he was like 7'7" and couldn't get underneath any offensive lineman. They could keep getting under him.
Not if he laid down, he couldn't get underneath anybody.
Well, that's true.
Big Dan.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Jordan says that I hope they start Black over Benton. I don't know what's happened to Keanu. And by that, I'm not talking about this year. I'm talking about the past couple of years. Every once in a while, Keanu will look like his collegiate self, the guy that got drafted, and he will pounce and get the quarterback, and he'll bring him down like a velociraptor. And you'll go, wow, what a threat this guy could be. But it's still the only thing that he can do. And it doesn't happen anywhere near often enough to come close to counterbalancing the lack of run stopping. It just doesn't, Chris.
No, it's really, really because again, there will just be some weeks where you're like, that's it, that's the guy they drafted. Like that's what they envisioned when they drafted him. Like that performance right there. Mm-hmm. And he's had other games. It's not like it's just been one game or two games. He's had a few of those games this year. Like you could probably point. I mean, Minnesota was the first one where you're like, whoa, like he was one of the best players on the field in Minnesota, or in Minnesota, in Dublin against the Vikings. You know, he was phenomenal in that game. And there have been other games since then. But then on the other side of that, when it's night and day. He's either looking like an all-pro or he's looking like somebody who needs to be on a practice squad. You know, that's hard to watch sometimes.
Give us one more good question here. We're going to sign off for the day because I got a flight to Tampa, Florida here in.
Get some warmer weather.
Yeah, I love being there, Chris.
I know you do. You love going to Florida.
I'm going to get out in the sun and, I'm going to have a beach towel and so forth. William buys you some time for a really good question here by pointing out, I really hope the defense can just not get happy feet and keep their responsibilities. That sounds good, William, if you have a defense that's doing what it's supposed to do. But I don't mean to make Buffalo the rule rather than the exception. It might actually be about 50-50 at this point, kind of like their record. But when you're looking at TJ getting pushed off the ball by a tight end, when you're looking at Keanu and others in the middle, up front, getting knifed out, not being able to shed their blocks, just being in position isn't going to do it. Chris is mentioning all kinds of different names that we could see in the secondary, some of them for the very first time. That's not just about being in your position. The ask on this coming off the Buffalo game is large. And I didn't even mention PQ being hurt. PQ is going to be an impact on this, whether he plays or not. There's no way he's playing anywhere close to 100%. if he plays.
No, he will not be 100% if he plays. And yes, I don't think it's an accident or a coincidence that the wheels really not saying that the Bills weren't running before PQ was injured, because they definitely had some runs, but the wheels fell off after he left the game. Like, the wheels were rickety. You know, you had that shopping cart that had the 3 good wheels and the 1 bad wheel. It was functional, but it was a pain in the butt. But then it's like all of a sudden, once PQ got injured, you traded in that cart with the 1 bad wheel for 4 bad wheels, and they all just started falling off at one time. Like, it was a difference. And I'm glad that, like, players that like have played this game before have, like, I think James Harrison mentioned it on the Debo and Joe show, which was, by the way, he didn't crash out this time. He was nice, calm, collected, pointed criticism, but he said was like, PQ leaving's gonna be a problem, and it was.
Oh, I mean, those guys understand
Yes,
better than anybody.
Yeah,
the green dot effect. It's a massive thing unto itself. That said, if anybody can handle it, and remember, Peyton Wilson did have the green dot. I believe it was for either one or multiple preseason games, right?
it would have been all of them, because I don't think PQ played in the preseason.
Okay, yeah.
It wasn't very much.
So it's the multiples, and that's why they do that, and that's why people like us made a big deal out of it at the time. We talked a lot about the green dot. We talked to Peyton a lot about the green dot, and it makes a difference to have somebody in that position and warmed up here. Last question for today goes to FVO, because it's a good question, not just because he dropped $10. Says, DK, you guys can see the problems with this team and report on them weekly. Maybe we should gift some memberships to Terrell Austin and Arthur Smith. They don't want advice from us. They know a gazillion times more about football than we ever could. Just like I would hope we would know more about doing this whole journalism thing than they ever could. Different career paths, different roles. I know you're kidding. I also know that there's a lot of pressure, not just, remember this, and I don't hear anybody talking about this, because all of the blame has shifted to the head coach. That you don't hear about TA anymore. You don't hear about as much. You don't hear about Art. Art was in on that 4th and 2. You heard Aaron Rodgers passionately defend, not the 4th and 2, but the 3rd and 9. That was also a Gainwell thing. They're believing in these plays. So it's not just the head coach, but it's not just the head. It's not just the head coach who's in danger of losing a job or his job in some form. There's pressure on them too, like a lot.
I agree with that. And the one thing I want to say, because I genuinely appreciate the compliments, but every now and then I'll get a compliment on one of the Chalk Talk videos or something saying, maybe Arthur Smith or Terrell Austin can learn a little something by watching these. And the one thing I always try to say in response to that is, listen, it's really, really, really easy to be reactive to these plays and to break it down after the fact and to see what happened. It's a whole other ball game to game plan for an opponent and design that game plan and to put plays in place to execute that game plan. It's a whole other ball game, and that is something I would have nightmares about trying to do against a high school team, much less a college team, much less a pro team. So, no, we are not equipped to do anything when it comes to helping Arthur Smith or Terrell Austin at all. At all.
Swan drops $10 and says, hey, DK, I want you to know that your statement from this morning, that's the Daily Shot podcasts that I do every day, every weekday, about how Mike Tomlin is just someone who lives game to game, play to play while running a football operation and includes the past and the future. Brilliant. I guess you're saying something nice. I appreciate it, Swan. I did a lousy job of reading that. Mike Tomlin, that's the way he is. And that's how he keeps going. He doesn't take questions. He didn't Tuesday again about something that carries over from the past or how it applies to the future. Everything is just, about the next week. It's about Baltimore. That's just who he is. I want to thank a couple of people here for dropping some cash on the proceedings. FVO came in with $10. Cody Silva with $2, and can we get them more than 8 yards in the third quarter? There's the bar, man. FVO had another one. Swan with the $10 I just mentioned now. Parachute Pants with $5. We've had a couple new YouTube members come in. We appreciate that as well. You guys are awesome. But I have to go. I have a plane to catch, and Chris has to collect all of the various informations that he accumulated for you guys. Festive asked about a show tomorrow. Chris is going to do that. He's just finding this out.
I'm finding that out. That's fine. That's fine. I think no.
Is
I don't
Jose there tomorrow too?
He is not.
He's not. He can do the show with you
All right.
from home. So you'll be in the big box.
Yeah, I'll be DK for the day. I'll make sure to wear 2 hoodies.
And you know what Jose will be? Best backup in the business, baby.
He will be the best backup. He's got to grow his beard out. He's got to grow his beard out really quick. Just plug your ears and just blow.
Yeah, I'm not going to have time there tomorrow. I've got a skate to do. I've got all kinds of other things. On the road is a really, really difficult place to do these things. Plus, you don't do the internet and all that other.
Plus, Chris just does.
Plus, Chris is terrific.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look at making him blush.
I appreciate it. Oh, that's sweet.
Frank wants the Penguins to do well. Matthew wants the Penguins to do well. Stu wants the Penguins to do well. It's a big challenge. The Lightning had just won 7 in a row before losing last night. The Lightning, of course, have Jake and a whole bunch of other guys who can hurt you, including a certain guy named Kucherov. It's going to be a challenge. You know who's up to that challenge, Chris?
Sidney Crosby?
He is. You know who else is up to that challenge?
Tristan Jarry.
Tristan Jarry. Yeah. And Jarry has this weird thing about him, and he's had it for years. And if you've I bring it up with him on occasion, and he goes, "What?" But that doesn't matter. What matters is that I think it. Jarry, when he looks down at the far end of the rink and sees an elite goaltender, he ramps up. He just does. He's done it for years. I can document this. The fact that he doesn't think that he does it, doesn't matter. He's going to look at the far end of that rink. He's going to see Andrei Vasilevsky. And he's going to say, "What am I? What am I?"
Maybe he should be the Canadian goaltender.
You mean over the nobody that they have for the Olympics?
That's what I'm saying.
Sam Montembeau. How about Craig Binnington just to freak people out?
Yeah.
Who's going to be Canada's goaltender in the Olympics?
That's what I'm saying. If that's really the case with Tristan Jarry, then put him at goaltender for Canada, because he's always going to see a better goaltender in the other crease, because the United States has the best goaltending, and then you can name probably another 4 or 5 countries that have better. Not
Latvian Olympics jokes, everybody. Great place to sign off, or I'm going to miss my plane. We'll see you guys. I'll see you on Friday. Chris will see you tomorrow, regular time, 4 p.m. Eastern. Thanks so much, seriously, for being here with us. Okay, can you